Welcome to the Brew Crew Review Podcast, the show by fans for fans of your Milwaukee Brewers.
All right, Brewer fans, welcome to the Brew Crew Review Podcast with Craig, Vince, and Scott. How you fellas doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great, guys. Good to catch up with you, and happy start of summer. And is Chad on?
Nope.
No.
But the good news is the Brewers currently have the longest winning streak in Major League Baseball at 4 games. And they have retaken sole possession of first place as of this podcast and the NL Central. So that's the good news. And so we're coming at you here on June 21st, the afternoon. So the Brewers last night won the first game of a 4-game home set against the Cardinals, a battle for first place here. So that's the good news. So a couple of other things that have happened since our last podcast. First of all, let's start with this one. Let's congratulate manager Craig Counsell, who has now become, with the win last week on June 15th against the Mets, I believe, has overtaken Phil Garner as the most wins in Milwaukee Brewers managerial history. So congratulations to Craig Counsell.
Yeah, that was pretty exciting, guys. And well, I think that we all love Brewers history, so it was kind of cool to watch him proceed to this. And you know, if you think about it, Craig Counsell was named the Brewers manager. I think it was May of 2015, maybe late April, taking over for Ron Renneke. And you know, so it took him 7 seasons, and 2020 was not much of a season. So Phil Garner was. It seemed like it took him a lot longer to reach that amount of wins, and certainly. Craig Counsell's winning percentage is quite a bit better as well. So with all due respect to Phil Garner, it's pretty cool to see such sustained success over a fairly long amount of time from a Brewers manager, relatively speaking.
Yeah, it kind of makes me wonder if, 20 years from now, how everybody looks back at, that 82 team that unfortunately did not win it all. But in reality, this is the golden age of Milwaukee Brewers baseball. This is the longest span of success I think we've ever had, and definitely have to give Craig Counsell a lot of credit for being able to make that happen. I wish it would have happened about a week earlier, but what can you do?
For the record, Gardner has just got a note from your intern here, Scotty. Phil Garner has a 477, had a 477 winning percentage as Brewers manager. Craig Counsell sitting at a 527 win-loss percentage.
Yeah,
I think he won more brawls though.
Yeah, that's true. We did brawl a little bit more in the Garner era. I'm hopeful that sort of picks up. And Scotty, to your point, you never know. Maybe Craig Counsell, he is young enough. Maybe he'll still be the Brewers manager in 20 years. You just never know.
Yeah,
I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be.
It's nice to find anyone that wants to
retire.
manage this franchise for as long as he has. I mean, obviously, don't get me wrong, being a baseball manager has to be absolutely phenomenal, but it's not exactly something that where longevity is something that you it's something you aspire towards, but it's pretty rare that you have managers stick with the club as long as Counsell has. And it's been a great relationship for both sides. It's worked out really well.
It really has. And when you couple the fact that he was a player and then a front office executive and now a manager, and he's from Wisconsin, and I know that he lives in Whitefish Bay, and he just doubled down and bought I saw an article from our former colleague, Tom Hodgecourt, I think it was. He bought a house in Oconomowoc as well, like a lake home. So he's got 2 homes now in Wisconsin. So, he's kind of doubling down on his connections. I have a feeling that he's pretty confident that his position in the organization is fairly secure.
Yeah, unlike our great GM, David Stearns.
Craig, if you're listening, if you want someone to house sit one of those 2 houses, you can't be in both of them at the same time. I'm more than willing to help any way I can.
Well, Scott, that would involve you having to get in a car for a road trip or take a flight up. So I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, that's fine. Sorry, Craig. Please go on. I just wanted to interject about the other Craig.
Yeah, I mean, my point is because he's got the Wisconsin roots, it's unlike, like our GM David Stearns has got New York roots that we're always concerned with another team pulling him away from us. I feel Craig Counsell is where he wants to be. I mean, I could be wrong because money usually sometimes talks differently, but I mean, I really think Craig Counsell is a Brewer at heart, so to speak. And because of that, I mean, I think he's going to be with us a long time. And I think he's only like 51 right now. So if you think he's going to manage at least like 15 more years and 90 plus wins per season for each of those 15 years, you're talking, I think he'll put this record out of reach. That's my thoughts on it. But I mean, he's obviously a player's manager, but he's also great at all the other aspects and the duties a baseball manager has, I feel. And his experience where he's got as a player, winning as a world champion with all the Marlins and Diamondbacks, I really think that all that experience that he has and he brings back to Milwaukee as a Brewer will help us. And I feel like when the Brewers do reach a World Series, he will be at the helm, and it'll be hopefully sometime soon. So, yeah, definitely.
I like that,
congratulations.
Craig. Good thought.
Yeah, congratulations to Craig. Moving on to the next topic we're going to talk about is kind of shockingly. I know that just looking back at that day 4 or 5 years ago, I think it was, when the Brewers signed both Christian Yelich, traded for Christian Yelich and signed Lorenzo Cain as free agent all on the same day. It's not seeming as awesome as it did back on the actual day because in spite of Yelich's MVP and half or whatever, Lorenzo Cain has stayed, has been a great contributor to the team. But unfortunately, now he has been released after just a pretty abysmal season at the plate. He's been released by the Brewers, completely DFA'd. And the Brewers brought up Johnny Davis, who's a 30-year-old himself, a journeyman outfielder and not an impact player necessarily, from minor leagues to take his roster spot. And I was a little shocked, I should say beyond shocked by this move, but what are your thoughts on whether or not first of all, your reaction to the move and whether or not you agreed with it, I suppose. Maybe Scott, you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. I think, I don't know. I mean, after Jackie Bradley Jr. season last year, I thought that Cain might have a little bit more of a longer leash, so to speak, but it obviously it sounds like it's sort of like a mutual breakup kind of thing. It's weird to happen mid-season like that, and I think I was just talking a couple podcasts ago about how, despite maybe not having the offensive numbers that we want, obviously, he still plays a good defensive center field, and that is some value. And not only that, but like you would think anyway that he's a very positive leader in the clubhouse, and we don't necessarily have a lot of leadership on this team. I mean, obviously that's very subjective. I'm not in the clubhouse, but I don't know who I would point to and say, hey, this is the guy who's leading the clubhouse right now. I think if I had to do that, Cain would be in my top 3 for that. So it was a little surprising, but I guess I'm glad that situations like that can end a little bit rough, and it seems like this was pretty amicable for both sides, and I wish him well.
Vance?
Yeah, I think to answer your question, Craig, yes, I was a bit surprised. Certainly we all knew that Lorenzo wasn't playing very well this season. I guess that I was surprised from the team's perspective a bit more than Lorenzo's perspective, because, we should point out that this sounded like it was a somewhat at least mutual decision, and that both sides kind of came to an understanding about the decision that was going to be made. But I was a bit surprised that the team didn't at least look at using Lorenzo maybe a little bit more off the bench. I still think that he had a ton of value as a defensive outfielder. I still think that he had value off the bench. I still think that he had value with his presence in the clubhouse, as you alluded to, Scott. Yeah, I think for those reasons alone, I think it was a bit of a surprise. And if this was a couple years ago when the rosters were still at 25, it would have made a little bit more sense to me. But, we've got 26 guys on our roster now, and some months we've got 28 guys on the team. And so I tend to think, yeah, this is, a little bit surprising. from Lorenzo's perspective, I guess I'm not quite as shocked. And I think that we mentioned it on our previous podcast or one of our previous podcasts, but he had made some comments just about how lost he was at the plate and how he didn't feel like he was contributing. And he just sounded incredibly down about his performance. And I understand that from a human level, but I also think that it's not the attitude that you necessarily want to hear coming from a guy that you're relying on either. And he wasn't making excuses. He wasn't saying, in fact, he was doing the opposite. He was just taking ownership of a bad situation. But I think that I could almost read his frustration in the quotes. And if that's kind of what led him to maybe, and we were speculating because we didn't use our press passes last week, but if we're maybe Lorenzo even approached the Brewers and just said, hey, I'm wanting to be done and I'm not feeling it this year. We don't really know how that actually transpired, but just looking at that quote, it now makes this news a little bit less surprising to me. But yeah, overall a tough day for the Brewers. Just from an emotional level, I certainly value and respect Lorenzo Cain for all that he did for the organization and for contributing to, really 3 playoff teams. And you could argue a 4th in 2020, even though he was only there for a little bit of the season. But, again, on a personal note, just to end this, I even remember with you guys going up to Appleton and seeing him when he was there. And I think that he was on rehab. He was, one of the prospects at the time he was coaching first base. Craig, do you remember that night?
Yeah, I do
We saw
remember.
him up in Appleton years ago. And, it's just, you think about all the years that he spent with the organization, and when we traded him, we got that cranky back, and that created all these other memories. So Lorenzo really had a very strong positive impact in several different ways in our team. So I'm very thankful for him.
Yeah, and going back to that night in Appleton, I mean, he just, even coaching first base of the game, you could tell that the fans that we were sitting around and whatnot, or that are in the stands that night, he was one of their fan favorites, and there's something endearing about Lorenzo and his infectious style of play, and just kind of wearing the love for the game on his sleeve, so to speak, and taking it out there. Which to me makes this kind of surprising. And I kind of agree that Vince's speculation that Lorenzo might have had a hand in actually this is possibly true. It's pure speculation, but I kind of feel the same way because of his comments from a few weeks ago. I think what had happened is that him and the Brewers probably talked on the side about, okay, well, there's a possibility we may release you if you don't turn around here at the plate a little bit at some point this season, but we want to stick with you, whatever. And Lorenzo might have been like, well, again, this is pure speculation, but he's like, he does have a young family. He has already been a World Series winner. He's had a nice 10-year career. And I think he was just like, well, if this is then a line for me, I mean, it's something I can accept. I don't want to bring the team down, whatever. And I'm ready to step away. But can you do me the favor and wait a couple of weeks so I hit or maybe the Brewers were the ones that offer that. Well, how about you wait till I hit my actual 10-year service date, which is when the release date happened. I think that has some positive ramifications with the players union and his after player life benefits and whatnot. And so I think that could have just been it seems like it was a mutual agreement potentially. And that's why I don't think the Brewers or Lorenzo were necessarily shocked when it actually happened. That's all pure speculation, but to me, something like that probably played out. Because if it was just from a baseball move perspective, if Lorenzo did want to stay on and the Brewers were willing, I think the Brewers should have been willing to give him a little bit longer leash. Like Scott mentioned, Jackie Bradley Jr. last year. This is a guy that came up through your organization, has obviously been a huge free agent signing when he came on, and has been a part of 4 consecutive playoff teams and all that. But I mean, he is past 35. His body's starting to break down. His offensive game is obviously on the steep decline. But he does have value defensively, and would have been a fine bat off the bench, if not anything to mentor young guys like Tyrone Taylor in center field. But I mean, it is what it is, and I mean, it would have been one thing if we had someone at AAA knocking on the door, or even Taylor that was like, "Hey, I need my playing time," or even I need your roster spot. I don't feel we did bring up Johnny Davis in a corresponding move, who's a outfielder who can play center, formerly of the Blue Jays, but he's a 30-year-old kind of journeyman prospect that I don't think really merited that type of a move. So I really do think that our speculation is most likely close to the truth. And it is what it is, but I mean, wish Lorenzo nothing but the best in his post baseball career, or even if he decides to sign with another team, that's always an option, but for some reason I have a feeling he's not going to be. And I think he's at least done for this year, whether or not he revisits where he wants after this season. I mean, I don't think he'll draw much trade interest, but again, to bring in a veteran that plays good center field defense is always a value, even at his age. So who knows what the future holds for Lorenzo, but I do appreciate his time as a Milwaukee Brewer, and really makes me sad that I feel like the Brewers, could have had an opportunity to go deeper into the playoffs last year with Lorenzo on the team. And it really just makes me more sad about the fact that that didn't happen. But it is what it is. We move on. So,
And 2019 as well. I mean, geez, that year I thought that the team was so stacked. And, 2018 too. I mean, all the years that Lorenzo was here, we made the playoffs. Just so hopefully that tradition does continue this year as well. But yeah, I hear your point, Craig.
Absolutely. So, all right. Well, best of luck to you, Lorenzo, moving forward, and also to you, Johnny Davis, as you're now on the team. So, anyway, another kind of move that happened, I think, the same day or day after, was the Brewers also DFA'd former top 5 overall pick Corey Ray, which is unfortunate. I mean, obviously, we're holding on hope that he would at least have, if not a nice Brewer career, but at least has some form of trade value over the last couple of years. But that never materialized, and it's just a sad. Maybe he'll catch on with someone else.
Just a quick correction. He's still in the organization.
Breaking update.
Writing him off the roster. Yeah.
Okay, so they DFA'd and he accepted it. No one claimed him then.
No one claimed him, so he doesn't have
Yeah.
much trade value apparently, since they could have had him for nothing. But he is still with Nashville, and he's passed through the claim time, so he is reassigned to Nashville, but he's off the 40-man roster. So
it's one of those things where no other team wanted him, and that kind of shows.
Yes.
It kind of shows the value, but the same
Yeah,
thing happened to Hunter Renfroe when he was on the Rays during the pandemic. Was hitting like 150, and they DFA'd him, and no team claimed him with his salary. So I mean, something like that could happen.
Same with Jays. Yeah.
Sorry,
I didn't mean to interrupt.
With the Tampa Rays. So what can you do? So we'll see.
Same with Jace Peterson as well.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, well, last topic for today. Fortunately, a couple of injuries I want to comment on. I guess Aaron Ashby just went on the IL, fortunately, after having some issues with the bullpen session, I guess, this past Sunday, June 19th. So fortunately, he's out of commission, which we then brought into the organization Chichi Gonzalez, who was a free agent. He'll be making his Brewer debut tonight, I believe, against Cardinals. So there's that injury to deal with, and also Woodruff, who's claims that he could be back shortly. I'm not sure. I guess I'll just throw it out there for discussion. Which one of these injuries concerns you the most out of these two players that are going to have already been missing a little bit of time and might miss a little bit of time coming forward? And I think there's some fear that, some of these could turn into long-term issues. But what are your overall thoughts on both Ashby and Woodruff issue from this point forward?
I would think Woodruff's injury is the more serious. That's just because it's not a physical injury in the sense that it's a baseball injury. It's a condition. It's an actual medical condition, the Raynaud syndrome. So, I know people who have Raynaud's in my family, and it's, you lose grip on things. It's, it's kind of a tough condition. It's not going to kill you, but it's also one of those things that you lose a real sense of feeling apparently when it's at the edge of your fingertips. You can't really grip the baseball. You're on some medication, which is a little harsh actually on your system. So there's some side effects that can occur. So it's one of those things that there's a lot of unknowns for anyone, let alone a professional athlete. And that, especially one that has to use his fingers a lot, in terms of gripping a baseball. So, and I apologize about the noise. I'm on a beach in Florida right now, guys. Sorry. But that's my take, is that Woodruff's is a little bit more serious or concerning. And I will say that I feel a little bit better about it than I did a couple of weeks ago. I know he's going to be making a start in Appleton this week, so that's good news. But I think a few weeks ago they just kind of announced he had the condition, and that doctors weren't really sure if it was going to take surgery to repair or something of that nature. So at least we're not seeing that. But yeah, I just think given the unknowns out of Ashby and Woodruff, that's the one I'm most concerned about.
Yeah, it's rough. I mean, the Woodruff one is scary because I don't even want to say it, I guess, but it is sort of the elephant in the room. Like, if you can't feel a baseball and you don't get that feeling back, like that's a career ender. I mean, that's devastating. And I mean, let's face it, like as far as major league pitcher is probably top 5 of things that you actually need, where this disease would be the most debilitating. I mean, other than like, I don't know, surgeon, bomb diffuser. Like, I mean, there's very few. and the Major League Baseball one probably pays the most. So it's very scary. Ashby, at least, it's, that it's recoverable. So, yeah, they're both pretty devastating injuries, and to happen concurrently like this obviously is not particularly helpful. But yeah, not good. Just hoping that they can both hopefully get back out there soon.
Yeah,
I will say too on a really quick note, Scotty, that I think it's worth mentioning how adequately at least Jason Alexander has kind of stepped up to his role in the rotation. But
yeah, definitely props to Jason Alexander, who again I didn't expect much of, and since going in, I'm actually not expecting much of Chichi Gonzalez. So I'm really hoping he surprises me in a similar manner going forward, because he has not shown that he's necessarily a quality MLB starting pitcher in any way, shape, or form anytime recently. So yeah,
Greg, you said that about Jordan Lyles and Wade Miley, and
yeah, that's why I'm hoping Chichi's on that same wavelength of the Brewers.
Brett Anderson, but he's like Brett Anderson's like a tier higher, obviously.
Oh, yeah, Brett Anderson, amazing pitcher, always.
So yeah, obviously, I think, I mean, the bottom line as a Brewer fan, you have to accept the fact that with Peralta, Woodruff, and Ashby inserted back into our rotation, I feel even with our less than stellar offense, and that's being nice, we're still the best team in the NL Central. But with those guys all on the shelf, we're probably not a better team than the St. Louis Cardinals at full health too, who just got Jack Flaherty back. So I mean, it's just the bottom line. So we need to get those guys healthy before the end of the season. They need to contribute on the stretch and through the rest of the season. So it is what it is. So, all right. So coming up the rest of this week, obviously we mentioned that we usually, we're taping this on Tuesday rather than a Sunday. The Brewers already won the first game of the week against the Cardinals. Is huge. Welcome back, Josh Hader, and also congratulations for having a healthy baby boy. I know his wife was experiencing some pregnancy complications, but I did read online that he was born as a healthy baby boy. So congratulations to the new father, Josh Hader. And he came back and saved, after a 7-game absence or something like that, I think he came back and saved the huge game against the Cardinals last night. Corbin Burns with the win. So rest of the week, we got 3 more home games against the Cardinals and 3 against the Blue Jays. What are your guys' predictions for the final 6 games of this homestand of the week?
I will say 4-2.
That sounds awesome. Scott?
I'm going to say 3-3. I thought a 4-3 homestand would be a win, and I mean, pretty tough competition. Cardinals and Blue Jays, man, they're pretty solid teams. But yeah, 4-3. So 3-3 the rest of the way.
Yeah, I think I have to go with Scott. I think we'll take two of the last 3 against Cardinals and 1 of 3 against the Blue Jays this weekend. But I hope I'm wrong and Vince is right. So let's hope for the best. And yeah, I appreciate all you listeners tuning in to our podcast. Coming up in a couple of weeks, we'll have a draft preview for you guys. Coming up next week, we'll have a Rapid 9 episode, hopefully, and some more up to the last minute Brewer news. Hopefully this team can get healthy.
Craig, did you say that in a couple of weeks? Did you see that our next episode that our anonymous source Tom Carter is going to actually join us? Is that what I heard?
TC? He said he would do it only if we didn't reveal his full name. But,
Pete Carter. We could call.
Well, we didn't say Thomas John Carter, Craig.
Well, you did now. Technically, that was his fault. Yeah. Dang it.
How many times, if he
Just
was on the episode, how many times do you think we would accidentally reveal his secret identity? 5, 6? What's the over-under on that?
Have we done it?
couple
Have
hundred.
we done it before? I mean, I feel like we've kept this secret for. But I feel like we've kept this secret since 2004 when our show first started. I mean, it's amazing.
Well, just now we kind of revealed it, and then I think there was another incident or two in the past as well where we may have accidentally given away his full identity. But I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe we edited it out. About it.
Oh, yeah,
I feel like our intern helps with the editing with that.
Just when Tom asks us, say our interns drop the ball on that, and we'll go ahead and fire them. That'll be fine. I'm sure they'll accept that. So hopefully it can be on next episode. As long we'll have Jack Collins back on at some point. Mark Antonazio, Mark Antoniak, whole bunch of guests going forward. Possibly, whole bunch of guys, and especially coming up this winter. But in the meantime, we're gonna follow this team as we ride through the rest of the season, hopefully reclaiming first place in the NL Central, and then we'll sort it all out and get healthy by the time it's playoff time. So we shall see. But we really appreciate you guys tuning in. So remember to stay classy, Wisconsin, and go Brewers.
Stay classy, guys. Go Brewers.
Go Brewers.
Do, 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 do.